Great question. HIV is a virus that enters the body via sexual intercourse, most commonly or through the blood. Once the virus is inside of the body, it begins to attack the person's or the host's immune system. It does this by attacking the white blood cells and T fighter cells. If a person who is HIV positive goes unmedicated for an extended period of time, they will develop the late stage of HIV, which is called AIDS. AIDS is extremely dangerous and can even be fatal. However, AIDS is reversible, so you can go from AIDS to HIV. As of today, HIV still remains uncurable. For now, not too long ago, HIV was almost always fatal. Reason being, there was lack of research, lack of knowledge, and resources surrounding what HIV actually was. However, today, a person who is HIV positive can live a long, beautiful, healthy, and fulfilling life with just one pill a day. Hence, me. The stigma is definitely way worse than the actual disease. I hope that answered your question. How I found out that I had HIV. So at this point, I was already with my ex, the guy who infected me, for about 5 months. The relationship was OD traumatic. I knew he was like not faithful to me, but I never thought that he was like not using protection with other women. At least I made myself believe that. At this point, I didn't have any more like symptoms. Like I already went through the acute stage where I felt like I was literally gonna. However, a couple of symptoms persisted even after that were a little bit more subtle, but just as alarming. The first thing that freaked me out really was that I would have a continual yeast infection. I know it's kind of gross, but it's the reality of HIV. And a continual yeast infection is called thrush. I'm not saying that everyone that has thrush has HIV, but thrush is part of the symptoms of having HIV. And you know, I'm from the hood or whatever, so there's like a little hood doctor. I didn't have insurance. I didn't have insurance at that time. And so, like anytime I needed the yeast infection like medication, I would just go to the hood doctor. So something that I forgot to mention is that the acute stage is basically the stage where you are most symptomatic. But once you're done with that phase, you are no longer symptomatic in like very overt ways, but you still have certain symptoms that are very subtle. Like you have a lot of fatigue, thrush, like yeast infection, like discharge, the whole thing. And the second thing that really freaked me out was the fact that it was literally painful to have intercourse. And so at this point, I was taking clindamycin about like once every 2 weeks. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go to the doctor. Even though I don't have insurance, I could go to the clinic and get tested and tell them what's going on since it is down there. The day before I went, I had this sinking feeling in my spirit, like in my gut. I knew that I was gonna get bad news. So I show up to the clinic, I get tested. When you get tested, you know, you do the full panel, you only get results for your HIV, like rapid results day of. Everything else you have to wait. Someone comes out and calls my number because they can't see your name. They sit me down and they just break it to me like, you tested positive for HIV. My world literally shattered into a million pieces. So that is how I found out that I was HIV positive. I have not experienced anything worse than my HIV acute stage symptoms. There were plenty, but I'm only going to talk about 3 in this video. Starting off strong, the vomiting and diarrhea. That was my first symptom. That went on for about a week, every day. Then one day I woke up and I had this. Hundreds of little dots all over my arms, my legs, perhaps my back, literally everywhere. They didn't itch, they didn't swell up, they were just on my skin. For a second, I was relieved when I saw the dots because I thought I had chickenpox. And I'm like, well, that explains why I feel like I'm gonna croak. But no, it was HIV. The third thing that I experienced was a huge canker sore inside of my mouth. I don't have a picture of it, but I'm gonna put a picture up here of what a canker sore looks like. It was enormous and painful and alarming. So please, no more DMs about swollen lymph nodes and headaches. HIV is much more aggressive. Hi, my name is Bianca. I'm an HIV girly out here just trying to end the stigma. This person says, what were your symptoms? I'm getting tested tomorrow and I'm so scared. Girl, I know it can be scary. But this is why I do what I do, because the thought of it is scary. The actuality of it is not. Honestly, the stigma is way worse than the actual disease. And thank God for that, honestly. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. My symptoms from the acute stage, which is the stage that you show the most symptoms, you're most symptomatic during this time, they were the worst. I literally thought that I was gonna I made a whole YouTube video discussing my HIV symptoms in depth, so if you want to check it out, I'll link it. But basically, I went to the hospital 3 times because I literally was so unwell. I had fevers, cold sweat, rashes. I couldn't hold anything down. I lost about 20 pounds. All 3 times that I went to the hospital, they turned me away. And all 3 times that I went to the hospital, they never checked me for HIV. Because just like a lot of people in my comments, they probably thought that I didn't look like a person that had HIV. But now knowing what I know, the symptoms were a telltale sign. Like, it was clear as day that I had been exposed to HIV. Anyway, if you or someone you know feel they have been exposed to HIV, please go get tested, no matter how scary it is. Because if you have been exposed, the quicker you could get on medication, the quicker you're going to get to a healthy status and eventually an undetectable status. Love you, bye. Hi, my name is Bianca. I'm HIV positive and I talk about it. So how did I know that my ex intentionally infected me with HIV? Great question. For starters, I literally asked him, when was the last time you got tested? What were your test results? He literally lied to me in my face and said that the last time he got tested was a few months ago and that his panel came out completely clean. The reason I asked him this was because when I met him and we hooked up, I was very, very drunk. And it just so happened that I myself had gotten tested the day before I met him. So one, he lied to me blatantly when I asked him. God only knows when was the last time he got tested. If he's ever even gotten tested. Had gotten tested, excuse me. And number 2, when I started getting really sick with my HIV early symptoms, he was begging to see me. I didn't want to see him because I didn't know what was going on with me. I thought, whatever I have could be contagious. And he literally was like, babe, there is nothing that you can give me. I would love to see you to take care of you. Don't worry, you can't get me sick. I mean, I guess for once he didn't lie to me. I couldn't get him sick because he was already sick. The third reason that I know that it was intentional was because when I finally tested positive for HIV, I begged him to go to the doctor and he refused to go to the doctor. He refused to get medication. He refused to get any sort of help. So obviously this is something that he had been dealing with for only God knows how long. I'm HIV positive, right? And this is just a PSA to those that are not HIV positive. Disclosure is my choice. When I disclose and how I disclose and who I disclose to is up to me. I find it so crazy how people are telling me that I need to disclose before I go on a date, that I need to disclose before I kiss somebody. This is the craziest one. Before I even tell them my name. It's not happening. I don't think that it's my responsibility to tell someone that I'm HIV positive if they are treating me as if I'm not. Your health is your responsibility. Adopt the mindset of medical practitioners. Assume that everyone has something until they prove to you that they do not. Why are you kissing a stranger or trying to kiss a stranger that you just met? Why are you trying to have intercourse with someone raw that you just met? You don't know me from a hole in a wall. Why are you trying to put your thing inside of me without any kind of protection? Why do I have to be the one to say, hey, chill out, I'm HIV positive, instead of you asking, taking the time to know me, get to know me, let's go get tested together if you want to take the next step? Why do I have to be the one protecting you from yourself? No, baby, that is not my responsibility. And I just wanted to make that clear. Okay, love you, bye. Just because I'm HIV positive does not mean that I am spreading HIV. Honestly, it doesn't even shock me how many people think this way. The education system did do a really bad job at educating us to modern day HIV. But if you're going to be accusing me of something so malicious, please do a ChatGPT search at this point. I mean, there's no excuse. Aside from the fact that I've been sleeping with one person for literally 5 years, I cannot spread HIV because I am undetectable. What undetectable means is that the virus inside of my body, meaning the viral load, is so small that it cannot be, number 1, quantified in an exam, hence undetectable, and number 2, it cannot be transmitted, meaning I cannot transmit it via intercourse, I cannot transmit it via pregnancy. If I nick my fingers while doing my nails, no one is gonna acquire HIV from me. It basically means that I cannot transmit the virus. Undetectable means untransmittable. You equals you. I sincerely hope that this clarifies and helps end the stigma surrounding HIV. Bye. Who told you that? Who told you that? And why did you believe them? So if you read up top, it says there is no chance of transmission if skin is unbroken. HIV is not transmitted through saliva. But let's continue reading. Very rarely, transmission has occurred if both partners had sores or bleeding gums. You cannot transmit HIV through closed mouth kissing. You cannot transmit HIV through saliva alone. Don't get me wrong, I try to have patience, and I typically do. But this person, I'm assuming, is a nail tech and is stating that not only do I have to inform people that I am HIV positive when I go get my nails done, but that I must wear a mask so that if I spit while I speak, it doesn't fall on the person and transmit HIV via saliva. No, baby, mi gente, this is out of control. HIV is not transmitted via saliva alone. HIV is not transmitted via kissing. I hope this helped you. To answer your question, no, I do not need to inform anyone at the restaurant when I go out to eat that I'm HIV positive. The reason that I don't have to tell anyone is because HIV is not transmitted through saliva. So not only are you safe to go out to eat at a restaurant, you're safe to kiss someone that's HIV positive, or I'm safe to kiss someone that's HIV negative. They will not get HIV by exchanging saliva with me. But with that logic, honestly, like as far as like the utensils thing, like that's just so gross if you really think about it. Because like, let's say someone isn't HIV positive, would you still want someone else's germs like in your silverware? Like, gross. There was actually a period of time that I requested plastic utensils everywhere that I went because I used to work at a restaurant, and honestly, like, it just grossed me out. Just the thought of like everyone using the same utensils. I don't know why, like that was just like crazy to me. But yeah, I hope that answers your question. Like, you are safe, or I am safe rather, to slobber all over someone who is HIV negative and they will not get anything, even if they have like a cut in their mouth, even if I have a cut in my mouth. Like, completely safe. No one has ever gotten HIV from kissing, even if I bite someone. No, baby, it's not the mistake that comes with the consequence. It's sin that comes with the consequence. I come on here and talk about the realities of HIV because this is how I thank the Lord. I'm not here trying to sell you guys a false dream saying that, oh yes, it's my responsibility. That's not the reality of the people outside in these streets. That's not the reality of hookup culture. That's not the reality of casual sex. Okay, this person is casually sleeping with you, your sister, your mother, maybe your dog, okay? And people want to come on here and talk about sexual liberation. That's literally a lie from the devil. And honestly, more than anything, it's a need that needs to be filled within us, filled inside of us. And the only person that can fill that up is God. No man, no woman, no relationship, no drug, no nothing can fill that up but God. But back to the commenter. Baby, it is not my responsibility to tell you anything. Your sense of entitlement is what's gonna get you put into really bad situations. I had to learn the hard way that people are evil, people are cruel, people are psychopathic, people are afraid, people are traumatized, people are ashamed. And people do not care about you. Period. You cannot bet on the kindness of a person. Have you seen my comments? Do you see how mean and disrespectful people are being because I'm willingly sharing my status? What makes you think that another person who has not been redeemed by Jesus Christ and is still living in that fear and that shame and that trauma, what makes you think that they're going to tell you that they're HIV positive? Dime. The guy that infected me knew he was HIV positive and chose not to get on medication. He intentionally infected me and many others with HIV. And he was a public figure. And he was going to the White House, and he had hundreds of thousands of followers, and he was good looking and charismatic. But you don't see me here blaming him, not even on my YouTube videos. And y'all get so mad at me in my YouTube videos because I don't blame him for giving me HIV. Why? Because although it is evil, although it is unethical, although it was criminal, it was not his responsibility to ensure my safety. The only person that is responsible for my safety is my mommy, my daddy, and myself. No one else is gonna care about you, baby. And that's what I'm trying to show you. That's what I'm trying to tell you. It doesn't even matter if you are promiscuous like I was promiscuous, or serial monogamous like other people might claim they are. Sex before marriage is a sin, and sin does come with consequences. Everybody that's judging in these comments, it could easily be you. That's the message.